Hey, welcome to part 2 of QSLing on Shortwave in 2014. In part 1, I told you the basics of what you needed to put in a report and how to, make things good with all of these QSLs and what you should expect or not. In part 2, we're going to talk about how to get the contact information of any radio station you want to write to. Okay, now you did that report, you did that nice report with all the details and talked about yourself, talked about what you enjoy or not in stations, and you're all happy with it and you're saying, okay, how do I send it out? Two ways of QSLing today. One is email reports. The other one is snail mail or postal mail reports. So you put that nice report in an envelope with a stamp, put it in a mailbox, and out it goes. And you just hope that it reaches destination and that you'll get a reply. The easiest way to QSL is, of course, by email. Email is fast, meaning that you just, click that send button, and from a few seconds to a few hours later, they have the report already in their email box. The good thing about that is that it's fast. So stations that QSL and that don't require any other information or anything for a return, like an example of that is Radio Romania. Radio Romania, you just email and you'll get a QSL. Another one, the two other ones that I've had, Radio Japan, KBS World Radio, you can send them email reports and they will reply by mail, by snail mail, with a card that you'll get in your post box. So in your mailbox, you'll open one day and you get this nice little letter or card from this station. And that's always nice. That is for big gun stations, those big country stations like Japan, Korea, Romania, I would have said Russia, but now it's kind of gone of shortwave, Voice of America, all these stations, these really big stations usually will accept email reports. The drawback of email reports is that stations that don't have big budgets tend not to reply by mail. They tend to reply by email. And so chances of getting a QSL card if you email a station, for example, if you like those little African stations that are hard to hear, Radio Nationale Tchadienne, for example, and you say, I want to have a QSL, if you email them, there's a chance you might not receive any reply. At best, you'll get a little email reply saying, thank you, it's fun to see that you can hear us, but hope that you will listen again. There's a better way to QSL, and for a lot of stations, and you know what, even big gun stations, it's not bad to actually use this way of doing things, is to send it by snail mail, but to add something in the envelope so that they can pay for the return shipping, for example, the return postage. There are two ways, basically, that you'll pay for return postage. One is called International Reply Coupons, or IRCs. These are available pretty much in all post offices around the world. They are these little coupons that actually you buy, and what it does, it's actually a little coupon that they can exchange for the stamps required to return your card or your letter by snail mail. So basically what you're doing, you're paying for postage. But paying for postage is good, but if you want a QSL card and they have to pay for those envelopes and those letters, Even better, but kind of touchy, is inserting a little bit of cash in the envelopes. Now, keep in mind that inserting cash is always a risk. There's a lot of mail theft around the world, and so this is always a big problem. If you put cash, first of all, don't put coins, don't put anything metallic in an envelope. If you put a metal coin, you're pretty sure it's not going to reach its destination, because the metal will actually make your letter sound a little alarm somewhere, and they're going to have to check what's inside. So what you should do is rather put that money, that paper money, in several sheets of blank paper, so that even if you look through it with a light, you can't really see what's inside. That's a big difference. If you can see through the envelope that there's money, you'll have someone somewhere probably stealing it. I've actually had a very high successful rate of QSLing by inserting a few American dollars in an envelope every time. Actually, the bank here, the teller at the bank, would always find me really weird asking for $20 in $1 American bill, and they would just like, why do you want $21 bills? And you know, it's one of those things that it's kind of hard to explain to the teller at the bank. But hey, you try to get these paper bills. The United States is one of the few countries left that still has their $1 bill has a paper bill, which is interesting and very useful. And also, I always use American dollars because they talk. I mean, it's, you know, probably really nice to put, if I put like, you know, a two, or now we have only $5 bills that are in paper here, but back when we had $1 Canadian bills, I don't think a $1 Canadian bill has the same impact in a foreign country as a $1 American bill. The same goes for any countries in the world that has its own currency. You know, if you put yens, if you're in Japan and you put some yens in an envelope, I don't think they're gonna find that as fun as receiving American dollars. You know, the US bill works everywhere in the world. Local money is a little more complicated to exchange. So get yourself some US dollars. I would think that 2014, maybe euros could be interesting. It is getting pretty important as a currency. And if you're sending out maybe to a European country, maybe a euro might actually do its job also. But, you know, I'd stick with dollar bills, American dollars. And that probably is the best way to QSL very small stations. You're QSLing any station that's, you know, very small in the tropical bands from the, you know, South America, Central America, Africa, and even a lot of Asian, small Asian stations. Without money, there's very little chance you'll get a reply, and especially today. In the 80s, I would send out reports without any money because I didn't have any money anyways, so I just couldn't afford putting a dollar bill in the envelope. And I would still get replies from a lot of stations from Africa and South America, Central America, but a lot of them would mention, look, we're sending you this card, but you know, next time it would be really nice if you could add an IRC to pay for postage. And I got a lot of letters saying that. So they still do it. But back in the 80s, we all had probably more money in our pockets than we have today. So just remember that it does cost money to send you all these little goodies through mail, and that it might be interesting to actually. There's a third way also for some people, and actually some stations, some special event stations and stuff like that will sometimes say it. what they would like is self-addressed stamped envelopes. That's basically, you put in your envelope, you put a stamped envelope with the stamps of the country where you're sending to, and they're already in an empty envelope, so that all they have to do is just put it in the envelope and put it in the mail, so that it costs really as little as possible to send you any cards. One thing that you can try for also, that I almost forgot to talk about, is getting stamps from the country where you're sending your report. For example, here, not very far, we have a place that sells stamps for, all those stamps collectors out there. And one thing you could do is actually get mint stamps from the country where you're sending your report, so that you can actually include them in the envelope. And that's cool, because you're paying for the return postage yourself, and that really helps in getting a reply. Now, where do you get the contact information? Well, if you're looking for contact information, the first and the best source is, why don't you just listen to the program of the station and write it down when you hear it. All stations eventually just tell you, well, hey, if you want to write, this is our postal address, or this is our email address. Just listen to their programs. That's one of the best sources, because they're giving out the freshest information of their contacts. Now, there's a little side to this. It is true that some stations sometimes give out bad information over the air. It happens from time to time. They just don't, they change their email, but in the broadcast they didn't change the email when they're giving it out. That does happen. So listen to their broadcast. That's the first source of information on how to contact a station. The second contact information I would say that's really nice is the internet. Why not Google the station name and find their web page? They pretty much all have web pages today. And sure, somewhere on the page there's going to be contact information. It's not always easy to find though. It is sometimes very small, in a very small print somewhere on the page. But if you look through pages, you should see contact information. There you'll get postal address and email address, what you need to actually write them. Another great source, if you just Google station's email or address, you should also find some shortwave radio related websites or club sites that have lists of stations and their emails and postal address. A great source of email and postal address is the World Radio TV Handbook. I've used this one a lot to actually write stations. They often have a pretty accurate information how to write stations. Now this one's the 2011. I haven't bought it since 2011. I actually ordered a 2014 one, which should arrive hopefully soon, and I actually will probably make a video talking about it and reviewing it a little bit. What's the 2014 World Radio TV Handbook like? So this is a great little book. It's available pretty much online everywhere. So if you go, I bought it on Amazon. I can also buy it from a local club here, which is the Canadian International DA's Club. But if you just go on the web and Google World Radio TV Handbook 2014, you'll have places where you can actually purchase this book. This is a nice, very informative book about all the broadcasts in the world, shortwave, medium wave, FM, and some radio tests that they've actually made through the years. So really nice and very informative. One of the last available resources for shortwave listeners and radio listeners in general. So that's a great source of email and contact postal address from most stations. So that's pretty much what you should expect. And once you've done all of that, maybe you've sent that letter with that email or with an email or a simply a letter with all that those little goodies so that they pay for return postage. The next thing you have to do is just wait for that QSL to arrive. Now keep in mind that email is usually pretty fast, but snail mail is not called snail mail for nothing. It can sometimes be very slow. Some stations I've seen sent out reports and received QSLs 7 or 8 or 9 months later. Others, a week after you have the QSL cards. So an example is Radio Romania. Radio Romania is pretty fast in responding to QSLs. But some stations like Radio Kuwait, for example, I've not QSL them in a while, but if they still QSL, one thing for sure is that Radio Kuwait took, the last time I had a QSL from them, it took probably 7 or 8 months before I had one. Lots of African stations will take a lot of time because you gotta also remember that for many small stations, replying to reports is kind of an extra little thing that they do on the side. It's not really something they do every day. So some of those stations might have your report but not answer it before many months. So be patient. And in part 3 that I'm going to do, we're going to talk about who can you QSL, what are the types of signals on shortwave you can QSL, and that is going to be an interesting little part because here I'm focusing a little bit on international broadcasts station, but there is a lot of different QSL cards you can actually get around the world, and these are of different signals. So hope this 3-part series on QSLing and it helps you understand how to QSL a station, and that you enjoy our videos. So look forward for part 3, where we're going to talk about who can you QSL on shortwave 73.